Hello and welcome to the H2H Experiment. I'm so glad you're here. And let me start by asking a few questions. What kind of conversations are you having with yourself every day? Do you realize how much your inner dialogue shapes your way of leading others? And here's the big one. Are you building yourself up with your self-talk, or are you tearing yourself down without even noticing? Because today, we're diving into one of the most overlooked but most powerful leadership tools you have, the voice in your head. We will explore the psychology, the neuroscience, and simple practices that can transform completely your inner dialogue into your strongest ally as a leader. You know, we all have that inner voice that says, you nailed that presentation. You're never going to make it. You're going to screw this up. Or you can really do it. Or I'm not ready for this. We've all been there. And those inner voices, they matter much more than we think. They shape our confidence, they shape our decisions, and the way that we show up for the others. And that's the single most powerful leadership tool that we have in the end, because what we tell ourselves end up becoming who we are. And that is going to shape how we lead others. And neuroscience shows us that the brain doesn't really distinguish between what's imagined and what is real. For example, when you imagine a scenario, you visualize a scenario, you're speaking confidently in front of a crowd. Your brain, the same neural pathways light up as if you were really going through that experience. That's why athletes use visualization to train. Or when you repeat a belief, I'm not good at conflict, or I am a great problem solver, your brain builds those neural circuits stronger and stronger until they finally become automatic. And even psychologists, they call this self-fulfilling prophecy. Your inner dialogue literally programs your future behavior. So if you're telling yourself every day that you're not ready, you're not enough, you're not smart enough, you're not bold enough, your brain's going to listen and is going to believe it. Of course, we're talking about believing it metaphorically, but it's going to start shaping your decisions, your emotions, and your thinkings in that direction. And now going a little bit deeper on the psychology side. Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Our self-talk is one of the clearest ways in which the unconscious runs the show. Just think about it. Negative self-talk creates anxiety and hesitation. Leaders who constantly tell themselves they are not enough will avoid risks, will avoid visibility, will avoid growth. On the other hand, positive self-talk, the realistic kind, creates resilience. Leaders who frame failure as an opportunity to learn, a lesson to be learned, they bounce back faster because they've given themselves the permission to learn. And here's the kicker. Our self-talk doesn't affect just us, it leaks. A leader doubting themselves communicates doubt. A leader encouraging themselves communicates confidence. Your inner dialogue becomes the emotional climate your team feels. And here's a very silly example. Two leaders, they face the same challenge. A project failed. Leader A, self-talk. I always mess this up. I'm not cut out for this. Everyone's gonna lose trust in me. Leader B, on the other hand, says, this hurts, this sucks, I failed this project, but it's data. I will learn from this, I will adapt, and do better next round. Both leaders, they feel fear, they feel disappointment, maybe even shame, but their inner dialogue drives completely different outcomes. One spirals, the other grows. And it seems they're going to feel it too. At this point, we might be starting to think, I have this inner voice that's always bothering me, that's always putting me down. So there is no way? Yes, there is hope. And it comes from neurology. It's called neuroplasticity. Self-talk is not fixed. It's not destiny. It's a habit. And habits can change. The brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new connections. That's neuroplasticity. Every time you practice a new way of talking to yourself, you're literally reshaping your brain. At first, it's going to feel awkward, I have to say that. Fake even. That's why it is an intentional effort that you need to do. And then with repetition, it lays down new neural pathways. Over time, the new story becomes the automatic one, for good or for bad. That's why catching yourself in the middle of harsh self-talk, and consciously reframing it matters. It's like lifting weights for your brain. The more you do it, the stronger those new circuits become. It's really like exercising, to be honest. But here's a fascinating insight from psychology. It's not only what you tell yourself during your self-talk that matters, it's also how. Research shows that using the second person, you, instead of the first person, I, can actually make self-talk more effective. Think about it. I can do this versus you can do this. This while you're talking to yourself. When you say you, it creates a bit of psychological distance. It's as if you're stepping outside of yourself and giving advice to a friend. This shift reduces anxiety and increases performance under stress. It's like becoming your own coach instead of your own critic. It's actually quite interesting. Athletes use this all the time. Before a big game, they keep telling themselves, you've got this, stay focused, keep your head high, keep your head in the game. Leaders can do the same before walking into a boardroom with an important meeting or having a tough conversation. Now, there is another important aspect of the self-talk, which is the self-affirmations. And then I constantly bump into that question. Should I focus more on identity or on action while doing self-affirmations? Well, let's talk about this now. We've all heard about them, right? Repeating positive statements to ourselves. But the question is, what kind of affirmations work best? Research shows us two key distinctions. We have one, the identity-based affirmations, and these are about who you are. I am confident. I am resilient. I am strong. These can be powerful because they shape our self-concept. If your brain believes it, you start acting in alignment with it. But there is a danger. If the affirmation feels too far from your current reality, your brain rejects as false because it's too distant from the already established self-image that you have. And then you have the second one, the action-based affirmation. These are about what you do. I will speak up in the meeting. I will listen carefully before responding. These are often more concrete, easier to believe, and more actionable. They help turn intention into behavior. Both are valid, and they both can be used in specific situations, in specific contexts. The sweet spot is combining both. Ground yourself in identity. Example, you are capable while trying to action. You will take this step today. You are going to make it today. You will have a good day today. Together, they create a reinforcing loop. Who you are fuels what you do, and what you do reinforces who you are. But there's more to it. We can also bring this to an evolutionary perspective. Why do we even have this inner voice? Evolution gave it to us for survival. That little narrator in your head helped you plan, anticipate danger, and rehearse responses. The problem is, in the modern world, the same system often defaults to self-criticism. It thinks it's protecting you by preparing for rejection or failure. But in leadership, that protective loop can become absolutely paralyzing. Instead of helping you survive, it stops you from driving and thriving. So it comes really from the aspect of survival of human beings as a species. However, it's another one of those instincts that we have that are not made for the current world that we live in. So how do you change the story in your head, after all? There are a few steps that you can follow. 1. Awareness. Start noticing your inner voice. What is it actually saying? Write it down. You can be very surprised at how harsh it can be. Second step, reframe it. Shift I can't handle this into you can learn to handle this. Small changes in wording create a big changes in meaning. Third step, practice. Like training a muscle. The more you practice constructive self-talk, the stronger it becomes. Remember, in the beginning, it's going to feel awkward, and that's okay. And the fourth step, anchor in evidence. Remind yourself of times you did succeed, moments you were courageous. Your brain loves evidence. This is not about toxic positivity. You know that I'm completely against that. I have spoken about it before. I have posted a lot of things before. I have written about it before. I'm completely against toxic positivity or even lying to yourself, trying to pretend to be someone you're not. It's about telling a story that are both true and empowering. And finally, we arrive to the H2H experiment of the week. Rewrite the script. Here's what I would like you to try this week. First, for one full day, keep track of your self-talk. Every time you catch yourself saying something negative in your head, write it down. Then rewrite it. Not into fake cheerleading, but into a constructive frame. Let me give an example. If your brain's telling you, I will mess this up today, you can turn this into, you may stumble, but you will learn. Or your brain can also tell you, I'm not ready. Then you reframe it. You're preparing and you get better with practice. Mix identity and action, as we spoke before about the importance of mixing both, that sweet spot of the self-talk. For example, you can say, you are capable, you will take this step today. And the last step would be, at the end of the week, review how your energy and decision changed when your self-talk shifted. You're not just changing words, you're actually rewiring your brain. It's completely different. And this is a powerful tool to have in your toolbox because this is going to change completely your thinking process. So, as we arrive to the end of this episode, let's make a recap. Your self-talk shapes your leadership more than you realize. We discussed this. Neuroscience shows us that what you tell yourself literally rewires your brain through neuroplasticity. Talking to yourself in the second person, you can do this, instead of I can do this, is much more powerful because it works like a coach for yourself. Like if you are another person distant from yourself and telling you this. In affirmations, they work best when you combine identity with action. You are capable, you are going to do this, or you can do this. The more important story you ever tell as a leader is not the ones that you tell in the meetings. It's the one that you whisper to yourself every day during the whole day or just before you walk into an important room. If you want to dive deeper into these ideas, check out my articles on LinkedIn or on the ECXO and watch my videos on YouTube, where I expand on these topics and many others around leadership and personal growth. And most of all, thank you so much for listening to the H2H experiment. It means a lot to me that you're here with me, and I appreciate you being here. I can't wait to continue this journey with all of you. Until next time, take care of your inner voice because it might be the most powerful tool you will ever have for your personal growth. Keep trying, keep experimenting, and keep being brave. See you next time. Un abrazo. Ciao.